Newt Gingrich, Jay Sekulow, Joe Concha, Peter Schweitzer are here with reaction. Also, Judge Jeanine Pirro, she'll join us with a preview of her sit-down interview with the President Donald Trump. But first, the commander-in-chief is not taking the lies, the smear, the slander, the besmirchment anymore from the Destroy Trump propaganda media and the Democrats. The president has had enough. Tonight, he's fighting back, and that's our opening monologue. All right, so after never-ending fake news coverage from the propaganda media, highlighted by this unprecedented negativity and their bizarre tinfoil hat conspiracy theories and outright lies, President Trump tonight is fighting back to set the record straight. In an interview with Judge Jeanine Pirro that airs right here on the Fox News channel tomorrow, 9 Eastern, the president says he is now contemplating getting rid of White House daily briefings due to this out-of-control media bias. Finally, take a look.
When we have those press conferences, I actually said we shouldn't have them because Sarah Huckabee.
It's been 100 years we've been doing it.
No, but listen, but there's never been action like this. This is crazy. I mean,
but would you
we're getting higher ratings. They're getting higher ratings on those press conferences.
Would you seriously consider stopping these press sessions?
No, we do it in a different way. We do it through a piece of paper with a perfectly accurate, beautiful answer. I'll give you an example.
In writing?
They're asked 100 questions or 50 questions or 20 questions. If they get 1 out of 50, just a little bit off, 5%, 10%, 20%, it's the next day it's a front page story in every newspaper.
Right.
Now,
so
press conferences weren't even covered for Obama practically. They were on C-SPAN and C-SPAN 2, and there was nothing going on.
But will you put an end to them?
Just a minute. These press conferences are like the biggest thing on daytime television.
They are.
Okay? You see the ratings. They're blowing away everything on just about, I think, everything on daytime television. What I'd love to do is stop them.
Now we're going to preview more of President Trump's interview with Judge Jeanine Pirro in just a few minutes. But first, the president, I will say this tonight, he's absolutely right. If the propaganda, Destroy Trump media, if they're going to smear and slander him and his administration and his family and lie about facts and what he's done, why bother? Why waste the energy trying to appease people who obviously hate his guts and want to destroy him and who twist his words and damage him every single day? Now, the president, he doesn't need fake news media to reach you, the American people. So you know what? As long as they keep reporting fake news, bizarre conspiracy theories, and show this bizarre fascination and paranoia about Russia, how about no more press conferences for the Hillary Clinton colluding media? Instead, I think every week the president should tweet out all of his accomplishments going back to day one, update people daily about what he's doing and what he's accomplishing. And the president is also, he can take to Twitter, he can respond to the barrage of attacks, this ridiculous conspiracy theory about Russia that is being pushed with no evidence and collusion. For example, the president earlier today, I think it's leading by example. He tweeted again the story that there was collusion between the Russians and the Trump campaign was fabricated by Democrats as an excuse for losing the election. Now, you know what? The president's 100% right about this, and here's why. As NBC News reported back in December, the Obama administration, they never made a big deal about Russian election interference before November 8th. Why? Because they thought Hillary was going to win. This only became a huge deal after Hillary lost, and since then, the Democrats and the media, including Hillary herself, they have used this as an excuse for why she lost so badly. In other words, if Clinton had won, we would not be hearing about this issue every hour of every day. Now, on top of that, as we told you on this program, there is zero evidence of Russia-Trump collusion. None. Now, the president tweeted this in his response, quote, when James Clapper himself and virtually everyone else with knowledge of the witch hunt say there's no collusion, when does it end? Now, once again, the president is right to call these hypocrites out. Now, if you don't believe him about collusion, you don't believe him? Okay. Let's listen to Obama's National Director of Intelligence, James Clapper, in his own words. Pay attention, biased media.
Let me ask you this. Does intelligence exist that can definitively answer the following question, whether there were improper contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian officials?
We did not include any evidence in our report, and I say our, that's NSA, FBI, and CIA with my office, the Director of National Intelligence, that had anything that had any reflection of collusion between members of the Trump campaign and the Russians. There was no evidence of that included in our report.
I understand that, but does it exist?
Not to my knowledge. We had no evidence of such collusion.
No evidence, not to my knowledge. Now, predictably, after the president pointed this out on Twitter, what Clapper had been saying, well, earlier today, the former Obama official, he's starting now to slowly change his tune and get in line with the media. He's actually now claiming, well, I'm not sure. Now, this just shows you how desperate the left, the propaganda media are at this point in time. They want to destroy Trump, and they've been trying ever since November 9th. They can't believe Hillary lost. And we have been exposing them to be the total hypocrites they are and the conspiracy theorists they are. They will do and say anything at this point in time to take down this president. For example, now let's take a look at how they've been breathlessly comparing President Trump's firing of James Comey to Richard Nixon and Watergate without any factual comparison. It's an obsession now of theirs.
I have not seen anything like this since October 20th, 1973, when President Nixon fired Archibald Cox, the Watergate special prosecutor.
Just like Donald Trump didn't want to talk a lot now, Nixon didn't want to talk a lot. When Nixon did come out of the woodwork, he said, that's when he famously said, "I'm not a crook."
Firing Archibald Cox was the first shovel into Richard Nixon's political grave. And it always works like that.
Some are comparing this to Watergate.
Well, it's understandable that people are comparing it to Watergate.
The Capitol is filling with echoes of Watergate.
These are the kind of mistakes that were made during Watergate.
The firing of Archibald Cox set in motion a series of events that led to the downfall of Richard Nixon. Are you worried about history repeating itself?
If there's obstruction of justice, this is completely Nixonian.
So, Bob, is this a fair comparison?
You know, there are many parallels to Watergate.
This is not Nixon. This is not the Saturday Night Massacre. Now, if that's not bad enough, it's the exact opposite, actually. Take a look at what the propaganda media is now trying to pass off as news. They're saying this is news. Watch this.
At the dessert course, he gets 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream with his chocolate cream pie instead of the single scoop for everyone else. Tweeted one critic, so the whole dominance thing extends to desserts, too?
Apparently, the president gets 2 scoops. You know, everyone else around the table gets 1, and no word if there were sprinkles.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry. He gets 2 scoops. Everyone else only gets 1 scoop. We're going to have crazy examples coming up later in the show that expose this fake news media bias. Now, in an epic montage, you don't want to miss this. This is probably going to be the single best montage we've ever put on the show. But back to my point. The propaganda media is beyond pathetic at this point. They have become lapdogs, and for the Democrats and the radical left in this country. So I'm saying tonight, let's stop pretending. The propaganda media is exactly that. They are propaganda. They're out to destroy Trump. That is their main purpose. They want to advance the interests of liberal Democrats and the left. Now, they're not journalists. They're not reporters. They're rigid, radical left-wing ideologues. Let's call it for what it is. Now, the president does not need to be abused endlessly. And by the way, don't forget, they were proven to have colluded with Hillary Clinton vis-a-vis WikiLeaks. They were in her camp. Do you need any more evidence? Here with reaction, the author of the brand new